Now today we're going to be changing our water temperature sensor on this 04 Grand Am. Now we're going to try to fix a peculiar problem with this. What is happening with this car is every once in a while, very rarely, the temperature gauge will drop no matter what temperature it's at and just basically drop down to nothing. And when it does that, the car is basically acting like you just started up in the morning and it's putting itself in a loop and it's causing itself to flood itself basically, and it's causing issues. So hopefully we're going to fix that problem by replacing the water temperature sensor, because that seems like the most probable cause for that, because we've let the car run, take the coolant overflow cap off and hopefully try to burp it a little bit and try to burp it off the system, but it does it so rarely that I'm pretty sure there's no air in it because it's not constant, because it can take days in between. So hopefully this will fix that problem, but we're going to show you how to change your water temperature sensor, because it can cause other problems too, such as overheating, your fan's not kicking on, and that. So let's get to it. Now, our water temperature sensor is located here. Now, this is under the throttle body. Now, you can use a 3/4 or 19 millimeter deep well socket to get to this, and it'll be pretty easy. You may have to have a swivel or something to get around some of this stuff to make it even simpler. Now, if you don't have a deep well, you'll probably have to go through the issue of taking the throttle body off, which it's honestly a lot more work than I think it's worth. It may be easier and quicker in the long run for you just to go get deep well socket to fit it and a swivel and do it that way. Now, first step is going to be trying to unplug the harness, which may be a trick. You may have to move the throttle body, throttle linkage to get behind there and unplug it by hand, like that. That actually came unplugged fairly easy, so that could be a problem. It may not have been in there very well, but just to be on the safe side, we're going to change it. Okay, now carefully we're going to put our deep well right up in there and bring that sensor loose. Now, I'm going to go off on a limb here and say that someone has messed with the sensor before. And you see that spew is because I hadn't let the engine fully cool down yet. So if you're able to, let the engine fully cool down before you do this. But there's something I want to show you. And it's part of buying a used car. Now, here's our new sensor. And you see it's got this plastic piece around it, and our wiring harness has a clip to plug in there and this little rubber boot to seal in there to keep a seal around it to prevent anything from getting to it. Now, whoever worked on this car last has left this end broken off. That's why it came undone so easy. It's because when I reached up in there, it just kind of fell off. I didn't think about it until I was able to see it with the wiring harness off. But you can see the problem there. Now, this probably was causing a problem with that. Either it came a loose connection or something got on it. But I think this is our culprit right here. Now, it's little things like that when buying a used car such as this that a lot of times you don't see. Especially where it was at. From looking straight on at it, it looked like it's plugged in and good. And the gauge was working fine at first. But now, keep in mind when putting the new one on, be sure to be careful and not damage this. And so now this is pretty simple. The new one already came with some sealant on the threads. So very carefully, we're going to guide it in. Now you can start this by hand, which is probably going to be easier. or you can start it with your socket. Now that we're to the sealant on the threads, just gonna very carefully tighten it down. Now remember, this is aluminum, and you don't want to go too tight because you can strip it and cause all sorts of new troubles, and you don't want that. What I'm gonna do, get right about there very carefully, and I'm going to plug our sensor back in. And there we have it. So what we're going to do before we start it up though is I'm going to wipe off any of the fluid around the sensor the best I can, just so I can see if it's leaking or not, because we really don't want that thing to leak. So let's see what happens. Now I'm not getting any codes or any lights. I don't see any leaks. It started right up fine. Now what I'm going to do, hold the throttle down a little bit so that we can build up a little bit of pressure in the system and see if it springs a leak. Alright, now there we have it. Now, it's obvious there was a problem with the water temperature sensor. The fact that without that plastic on there, the harness is able to move as he's going down the road, as he's idling anything. And also anything get on there and kind of mess up the connection. So that should have fixed it. So far it has, and that is kind of hard to see. You don't really notice it because of the location of it, but that was obviously a problem. So we've got that taken care of, and it's pretty easy and simple to do. And a deep well socket, good extension, and a socket wrench, and you can do it at home yourself. The part was fairly cheap, so that was good. We lost very little coolant and fixed the problem. So in the end, it was less than a $20 fix. But hopefully this proved helpful to you. You can do it yourself, save yourself some time and money. And as always, thanks for watching.